welcome to the deep dive. You've shared some really intriguing excerpts from a novel called Return of the Ark, and, well, our mission here is to sort of sift through it all and pull out the core knowledge and those, surprising aha moments for you.
Exactly. And what makes this interesting, I think, is how it mixes up the fictional story with what feels like factual background information. We're basically here to guide you through that mix and find the bits that really stand out.
Okay, so let's dig into this. The author, we learned, spent 25 years as an IT manager, banks, telecommunications, that sort of thing.
Yeah, which on the surface seems pretty far removed from, ancient mysteries or religious history.
Right. But apparently he's been using those analytical skills, the ones from his tech job, and applying them to these topics. It's like a serious hobby, a passion.
And it's interesting why he wrote a novel, isn't it, Return of the Ark? Instead of maybe like a history book or something academic,
Uh-huh.
he wanted to get his ideas out to more people. He mentions being influenced by writers like Umberto Eco, Jose Rodriguez dos Santos, Dan Brown.
Ah, okay. So, storytellers who blend history and big ideas into thrillers.
Exactly. So that tells us we should probably look for those deeper layers hidden within the fiction itself.
And it definitely gets interesting fast. The story just drops us into these different scenes that seem disconnected at first, like it kicks off in a SPA, dimly lit
Yeah, sounds relaxing.
initially, until this couple in a jacuzzi spots like a dark figure, and then apparently there's just screaming. It's quite the opening.
It really is. That SPA scene, short as it is, it sets a mood, right? Suspense, something hidden, maybe sinister.
Could be plot, could be symbolic.
Definitely something to keep in the back of your mind as we go.
Then bam, we're somewhere
Mm.
totally different, near the Euphrates River, Kalat Jabbar area.
Which is significant, yeah. That's where Suleiman Shah's tomb originally was.
Right. And we see two Peshmerga Kurdish fighters. For context, and they've got some kind of chest,
Okay.
but the mood just shifts completely.
Oh, yeah.
The older Peshmerga kills the younger one,
Oh.
brutally,
Oh.
for what's called a precious relic of the Ottoman Empire in Turkey. And the killer says something, kind of chilling, about the place being beautiful, but he regrets doing it.
Okay. So now I have a concrete object, this relic, and extreme violence associated with it. And linking it to Suleiman Shah's tomb location grounds it historically. That relic feels important.
Very important, I guess.
Yeah.
Then another jump. We're near Mount Ararat.
The place most people think Noah's Ark landed.
Exactly.
Oh.
And there's this old man with a mule. He's on a mission, apparently, to deliver a piece of machinery in a backpack.
Machinery near Ararat. Okay.
Yeah, and he was promised retirement if he finished the job. But then he just collapses and dies. The mule, too.
Just like that? Wow.
And almost immediately, this young woman appears, dressed in black, name's Elif. She just takes the backpack.
Ah, so she was waiting or following.
It seems like it. And get this, there's matching embroidery on the backpack and on her wrist.
Okay, that's definitely a clue. Not random.
Yeah.
That machinery, Elif, the embroidery, it's all connected to the Ark's location, presumably.
It feels like it. And now the threads really start to weave together. We meet Hacer.
Right, Ibrahim's fiance.
And it mentions they were betrothed in the cradle. That's a big deal, right? Old tradition, arranged marriage, suggesting strong family ties.
Yeah, often political or clan connections. Powerful stuff.
And she's no slouch. Oxford-educated archaeologist, PhD from the German Archaeological Institute, studied under Klaus Schmidt.
Klaus Schmidt of Göbekli fame. Wow. Okay, so she's seriously qualified and connected to major archaeological discoveries in the region.
But she's in deep trouble. Escaped her hotel after a murder. Someone left a paper with her name on it at the scene.
Not good.
So she desperately needs help and turns to Aaron, a computer engineer who was at the same symposium she was attending.
What was the symposium about?
Archaeology of religion. Fits right in, doesn't it?
Perfectly. So Hacer's background, her family name, Hurin, comes from the ancient city. Her education, Klaus Schmidt, Göbekli Tepe,
Yeah.
it all points to her being central to this.
And her escape is pretty wild. She climbed down from the 3rd floor to Aaron's 2nd floor balcony.
Seriously, how did she even know he was there or anything?
Well, the text says she knew about his ablution experience, which implies maybe she knew something personal about him, or Ibrahim had mentioned him.
Ablution, the ritual washing. Interesting detail for her to know. Builds a bit of immediate, unusual trust, maybe.
Seems like it. Aaron's reluctant at first, understandably,
I would be too.
but he gets pulled in. And then he does something major. He gets his tech friend, Mert, to delete Professor Yafez's presentation data from some cloud company.
Professor Yafez, was he the murder victim? Or connected?
The text doesn't explicitly say he was the victim there, but deleting his data right after a murder where Haser's name turned up, highly suspicious.
Definitely. What was in that presentation and those directory names mentioned? ABYM38 or DA19ABYM38.
Yeah, very specific. Feels like those could be a code or a key later on.
So they're trying to figure out what Yates knew. Are they trying to access his files?
Exactly. They find a locked file, needs a password. They're trying everything, even using a password decoder.
Standard thriller stuff, but effective.
And interestingly, they wonder if Haser's family name, Haran, with its Akkadian roots tied to the ancient city, might be part of the password.
Ah, weaving her heritage right into the puzzle. I like that.
But then, things get more dangerous. A black BMW shows up. They get a weird phone call.
So they're being watched,
Yeah.
tracked.
Yeah. They have to go on the run, end up hiding out at some resting facility.
Okay, the pressure's really on them now.
And we learn a bit more about Aaron that's kind of surprising. He knows about religious ablution, sure, but he calls himself a deist.
Believes in a creator, but not organized religion.
Okay, and get this, he went to an Imam Hatip school in the past, a religious vocational high school in Turkey.
Wow, okay. That adds layers. A deist with a religious education background, at an archaeology of religion symposium, caught up in whatever this is, his past might be more relevant than he thinks.
Could be. Now let's shift gears to Ibrahim Dizdar, Haser's fiancé.
The MIT guy. And
Yep.
that's Turkish intelligence, right? Not the university.
Correct. He's a Middle East officer, and he's investigating stolen bombs.
Stolen bombs. Okay, that's serious.
3 of them, taken from a YPG base. The worry is they'll be used in Turkey. And guess how they were carried?
Let me guess. Khaki backpacks.
Bingo, same backpacks.
Hmm.
Plus, he's noticing some unusual American activity in the area.
So, stolen bombs, possibly linked to the backpack Elif took, international implications. This is getting bigger than just a murder mystery.
Much bigger and darker. They find bodies. Professor Hamed Alimhen and Imam Summit Hasid Idioglu.
An academic and a religious leader.
Found in near important religious sites. Martin Deirel's Vafaran Monastery, Prophet Noah Mosque in Sisri, Prophet Elias's tomb.
Okay, the locations are definitely significant. How were they killed?
Throats slit. And they had tattoos. Suva in Arabic, Yegus in Arabic meaning lioness, and one more they couldn't identify.
Tattoos. That's a signature. Suggests a group or a specific killer.
And here's the kicker. They were found because their phones were ringing. And the last person to call both of them,
Oh, no! Don't tell me.
Aaron.
Oof. Okay, so now he's not just helping a damsel in distress. He's wanted for questioning in 2 murders.
Exactly. He's in serious trouble.
The religious sites, the victims, the tattoos. It screams religiously motivated, or at least using religion as a theme.
Definitely feels that way. Then Ibrahim has this meeting with David from Mossad.
Israeli intelligence. Okay, now it's really international. What about...
The bombs. Mossad's worried about a potential nuclear core from Iran, and that these bombs might be used in Turkey. Plus, the chief rabbi of Jerusalem has been kidnapped.
Wow, nuclear material. Kidnapped rabbi. The stakes just keep climbing.
Ibrahim's cautious, though. Doesn't really want Mossad running ops in Turkey. He even says he knows they already have an agent there, codenamed Moses.
Ah, Moses. Remember that name. So Ibrahim's trying to manage a potential disaster and foreign intelligence meddling.
And it gets even more complicated. 3 Christian clergies have also been kidnapped.
So Jewish Christian leaders. Who is next?
Well, then these weird white boxes with the papal emblem turn up at Kusadasi port, linked to some supposed ceremony for the missing pope in
If
Izmir.
we're missing Pope, is the Pope missing?
No, the Vatican consulate says absolutely not. No such ceremony planned. It's all very strange and points to some kind of manipulation or disinformation campaign.
This is incredibly complex. Bombs, multiple kidnappings across faiths, weird boxes, foreign agents. Who is behind all this?
And then we find out the killer is Yekta, also known as Semyaza.
Semyaza. Isn't that a name from, like, apocryphal texts, fallen angels?
It is. And Yekta.
Yeah.
He was part of Ibrahim's MIT team.
An inside job. Why? What's his motive?
Extreme anti-religious hatred. It's personal. His parents, relatives slaughtered. His love, Soraya, suffered and died. He blames religion for everything.
Ah, the classic trauma turned to extremism motivation. Tragic, but explains the depth of his hatred.
His plan is horrifying. He's got the bombs disguised with the names of prophets. Adam, Eve, Job, Eliezer, Shoaib.
Using prophet names for bombs, that's deeply cynical.
He plans to detonate them near the kidnapped clergy to somehow prove God doesn't exist by showing he won't save them.
Twisted logic. Purely destructive.
And he's connected to someone called 90 Adam, who delivered the clergy and sent an Armageddon message.
Armageddon.
Hmm.
Yeah, sounds about right for his mindset. So where does it all come to a head?
At the Ataturk Dam, big confrontation. Aaron, Haser, and the Mossad agent Moses are there. Yekta is captured.
And Moses.
Moses sacrifices himself, saves the others, presumably.
A heavy price. So Yekta stopped. But what about the woman Yekta mentioned, Saraya?
Right, Saraya. We learn more about her. Wealthy, living in Italy, also motivated by revenge. Her family suffered after the Iranian Revolution. She's terminally ill. She also blames religion.
Another one scarred by history and loss, turning against faith.
And she was working with Professor Yefis. She was pushing him to prove the Ark was on Mount Ararat.
Wait, so Yefis wasn't necessarily a victim of Yekta, but a collaborator with Saraya. This is getting complicated.
Seems like it. She wanted him to find the Ark to somehow discredit religion, maybe. She told him to keep it secret, delay any announcement. Her last moments are filled with anger, wanting revenge.
So the Ark plot and the bombing plot are linked through Yafis, Saraya, and Yekta's anti-religious fury. Wow.
Now, the big question. Where is the Ark, according to this story? And where are the bombs Yekta planted?
Did Yux actually find it on Ararat?
This is where Aaron gets really clever. He looks at the names Yekta used for the bombs, the prophets, and the locations where the bodies were found.
The religious sites?
And he thinks they form a path related to Noah's journey, maybe. He connects it to Yafi's research, which apparently linked stuff like ancient Indian Ocean meteor impacts and the salinity in Mesopotamia to the flood.
Using geology to reinterpret the flood story. Okay, interesting angle.
And Yafis's conclusion, which Aaron figures out, wasn't Mount Ararat. It was the Haran Plain.
Haran Plain, where Haser's family is from. That can't be a coincidence.
Doesn't seem like it. And here's the real kicker, the aha moment for me. Aaron looks at the ancient castle in Urfa, Urfa.
Okay, the big castle overlooking the city and the fish pools.
That's the one. He realizes its shape and dimensions. Roughly 300 by 50 meters, match the biblical description of Noah's Ark.
No way. Seriously.
Yeah. And there are local legends about 3-story wooden structures inside the castle walls. Once upon a time, there's a recess on the south side that looks like it could have been a door, with a ladder going down.
And the lake. The Lake Legal, the Pool of Abraham, right there.
Aaron thinks the lake might be like a miniature model of the Ark. And the local tradition, Marnales, you know, how they don't harm the carp in the lake.
Yeah, they're considered sacred.
Maybe it symbolizes the life preserved in the Ark. It all fits together in this really surprising way.
That is a genuinely cool twist, using a known landmark, Urfa Castle, as the potential Ark site, supported by dimensions and local lore. Very clever.
So the shocking conclusion Aaron reaches, the bombs and the kidnapped clergy, they're inside Urfa Castle.
Right under everyone's noses, hiding in plain sight.
So the climax is this big operation at the castle. MIT, police.
How do they get past Yekta's defenses? You know he would have rigged it.
He did. Laser traps everywhere. Aaron has to navigate them.
Aaron, the computer engineer.
Yeah, guided remotely by Ibrahim, Hesser, and Moses.
Moses. But wasn't he?
Dying, yes.
Oh.
But before he dies, he gives them the final piece they need, a Hebrew decryption code for the bombs. The code is Shem.
Shem, Noah's son. Wow.
So they rescue the clergy, defuse the bombs. They even catch Saraya's contact back in Italy.
A successful resolution then, mostly.
Mostly. One question is left hanging. Why did Professor Yesface write Hasser's name on that paper found at the first murder scene?
Yeah. That was never fully explained. Maybe a warning. Or implicating her. Or pointing towards her family's connection.
We don't know for sure. The story ends with Aaron and Hasser released. Ibrahim gives Aaron credit for his role, and he reflects on what this Ark discovery could mean for Hisser's family, the Dizdar clan.
And what does Dizdar mean?
Castle guards.
Castle guards? Guardians of the Ark, perhaps? Whoa. Nice touch.
So, wrapping it all up, we've been on quite a ride. A thriller plot about stopping these bombings.
Yeah, driven by this really intense anti-religious motive.
Which unexpectedly crashes right into this archaeological mystery, the potential rediscovery of Noah's Ark in, of all places, Urfa Castle.
And you see the personal stories caught up in it all. Aaron, Hasser, Ibrahim, Yekta, Saraya.
For me, the real aha moment is just how seamlessly the story blends modern terrorism, ancient legends, actual archaeological sites like Göbekli Tepe and Haran, and these deep-seated personal dramas.
Yeah, that collision of worlds, the ancient myth potentially being real and having explosive consequences today. That's the core surprise, isn't it? Makes you think about how the past never really stays buried.
Absolutely. And that leads us to a final thought for you, the listener. What if? What if something like Noah's Ark was found? Forget the specifics of this novel for a second, just the idea. How would that change?
Yeah, well,
Everything. Our view of history, of religion, maybe even where we think humanity came from.
it's a huge question. Really makes you consider that blend of faith, hard evidence, and the power of these ancient stories we've touched on.
Something to ponder.
Well, thank you for joining us on this particular exploration. We hope it gave you some interesting things to think about regarding these source materials and their potential meanings.